Liam woke up early in the morning as the sunlight peeked through his curtains. He was still sleepy, but knew he had to get up because his mom, Emma, would be leaving for work soon. He wanted to spend some time with her before she left. When he walked into the kitchen, he smelled toast and eggs. His mom was busy cooking, but Liam noticed she looked tired. Her shoulders were slumped, and her hands were shaking a little. "Good morning, Mom," Liam said softly. His mom turned around and smiled, but she looked really tired. She had dark circles under her eyes and her hair was messy. She looked so worn out. "I wanted to see you before you left," Liam said as he sat down at the kitchen table. His mom smiled, but Liam could tell she was still tired. "That's sweet of you, honey. I'm sorry I won't be home until late tonight. I have to work a double shift," she said. Liam nodded, feeling sad. He knew his mom worked a lot to take care of them. "Are you okay, Mom? You look really tired," he asked, worried. "I'm fine, sweetie," she said, trying to make him feel better. "I'm just a bit sleepy, that's all. A good cup of coffee will help." But Liam wasn't sure. He watched her hands shake a little as she poured coffee and noticed how she blinked hard to clear her vision. "Maybe you should take a day off, Mom," Liam suggested. His mom smiled softly. "Oh, Liam, you're so thoughtful. But we need the money, and the people at the hospital need me. I'll be fine, I promise." Liam didn't feel hungry anymore. He watched his mom gather her things, feeling worried about her. She looked so tired, and he felt like something wasn't right. As they sat together at the table, Liam tried to talk to his mom to keep her engaged. "So, Mom, how's work been? Any interesting patients?" His mom looked up, blinking like she was waking up. "Oh, work's been busy," she said, but she didn't sound excited like she usually did. Liam noticed her gaze was unfocused. "I have a big math test next week. Maybe we could study together this weekend?" His mom's eyes widened a bit, and she looked confused. "Oh, that's right, your test. I think I'm working this weekend, honey. I'm sorry." Liam felt sad. His mom never forgot about his tests before. He watched her, feeling worried. Emma took a sip of her coffee, but her hand was shaking a little as she put the mug down. "That's okay, Mom," Liam said softly, trying to hide how sad he felt. "I understand." Emma tried to smile, but it looked more like a frown. "You're such a good boy, Liam. I promise we'll do something fun soon, okay?" Liam nodded, but he felt a tight feeling in his stomach. His mom's voice, which was usually warm and comforting, now sounded empty and far away. He noticed how she kept blinking hard, as if she was trying to stay awake. "Mom, are you sure you're feeling okay?" Liam asked, his voice full of worry. Emma sat up straighter, trying to look more awake. "Of course, sweetie, I'm just a bit tired. Nothing to worry about." But Liam could see through her brave face. The dark circles under her eyes, the way her shoulders slumped, and how her smile didn't reach her eyes. It all showed how tired she really was, more than just being sleepy. As they finished breakfast in silence, Liam's worry grew. He wished he could do something to help his mom, like to make the heavy load she carried a little lighter. But all he could do was watch and worry, his young heart full of concern for his mom, who gave so much and asked for so little in return. As Emma hurried to get ready for work, Liam watched her from the doorway of her bedroom. She moved slowly, but she was rushing at the same time, struggling with buttons and dropping things as she tried to put on her nurse's uniform. "Mom, let me help you," Liam offered, stepping forward to pick up a hairbrush that had fallen. Emma paused and gave him a tired smile. "That's sweet of you, honey, but I've got this. You should be getting ready for school." Liam hesitated, then spoke up again. "I could do some chores around the house today, maybe clean up the living room or do some laundry." His mom's eyes softened with love, but she shook her head. No, you focus on your studies. That's the most important thing right now." As Emma turned back to the mirror to try and fix her messy hair, Liam noticed how her hands were shaking a little. His stomach twisted with worry. He had never seen his mom like this before, so tired and not able to focus. "Are you sure you're okay to go to work?" he asked, his voice small and unsure. Emma looked at him in the mirror and forced a bright smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Of course, sweetie. It's just a long shift, that's all. I'll be fine once I get there and have my second cup of coffee. Liam nodded, but he wasn't convinced. He watched as his mom gathered her things, moving slowly and clumsily. She almost forgot her ID badge, only remembering when Liam pointed it out. As they headed for the front door, Liam's mind raced. He had to do something to help his mom, but what? She always wanted to do everything herself and never wanted to bother him with grown-up responsibilities. Have a good day at school, honey, Emma said, giving him a quick hug. I love you. Love you too, Mom, Liam replied, hugging her tightly. He didn't want to let go, afraid she might fall the moment he did. As Emma walked to her car, Liam stood in the doorway, his heart full of worry. He made a silent promise to himself. He would find a way to help his mom, to make sure she rested and took care of herself. Liam needed to figure out what to do. As Emma got her things ready to leave, Liam watched her with worry. His mom was moving slowly, and she didn't seem as graceful as usual. Instead, she looked clumsy. Just as she was about to leave, Emma tripped a little and quickly grabbed the kitchen counter to keep from falling. Mom! Liam cried out, rushing to help her. Are you okay? Emma blinked her eyes like she was trying to see clearly. She smiled, but it didn't look happy. It looked forced. I'm fine, honey. Just a little tired, she said. Liam's heart beat fast as he watched his mom struggle to stand up straight. He had never seen her like this before, and it scared him. Maybe you should stay home today, he suggested, his voice shaking a little. Oh, sweetie, I can't do that, Emma replied, gently patting his cheek. I've told you there are patients counting on me. I'll be okay once I get to work and have some coffee. Liam wanted to argue, to beg her to rest, but he knew how stubborn his mom could be. She always put others first, even when it made her really tired. As Emma walked to the front door, Liam stayed close, ready to catch her if she tripped again. He watched sadly as she struggled with her keys, dropping them twice before she finally opened the door. As Emma's car drove away down the street, Liam closed the front door and leaned against it with a heavy sigh. He had never felt so powerless in his life. Liam sat in his classroom, staring at the whiteboard, but his mind was far away. He couldn't stop thinking about his mom's tired face and wobbly steps. He was so worried. What if she fainted at work? What if she got into a car accident because she was too tired to drive safely? These scary thoughts filled Liam's mind, making it hard to focus on his math problems. When the lunch bell rang, Liam hardly noticed. He packed his books and slowly walked to the cafeteria. His best friend Marcus caught up with him in the hallway. Hey man, what's up? Marcus asked cheerfully, but his smile faded when he saw the worried look on Liam's face. Are you okay? Liam shrugged, not sure how to explain what was bothering him. They got their lunch trays and found a quiet spot to sit. It's my mom, Liam finally said, pushing his food around with his fork. She's working so hard, and I'm really worried about her. Marcus listened carefully as Liam told him about how tired Emma looked that morning, how she tripped, and how she seemed so out of it. That sounds serious, Marcus said, looking concerned. Have you talked to anyone about this? Liam shook his head. Who would I talk to? It's just me and Mom at home. Marcus thought for a moment. What about a teacher or the school counselor? They might know how to help. Liam hadn't thought about that. He chewed his lip, thinking, I don't know. What if they think I'm making a big deal out of nothing? Or what if they call my mom and she gets mad? But what if they can actually help? Marcus asked. It's worth a try, right? Your mom's health is important. Liam nodded slowly. Marcus had a point, but the idea of talking to an adult about his family's problems made him nervous. Who could he trust? Would they really understand? As the lunch period ended, Liam still felt unsure. He knew he needed to do something, but taking that first step seemed really hard. Liam stepped into the quiet house. The silence felt heavy. He dropped his backpack by the door and stood there for a moment, listening. The ticking clock on the wall sounded too loud in the empty space. "Mom?" he called out, even though he knew she wouldn't be home yet. Her shift wouldn't end for hours. With a sigh, Liam walked to the kitchen. He opened the fridge, stared at the food inside for a moment, then closed it again. He wasn't hungry. The worry he had felt all day seemed to fill up his stomach, leaving no room for food. He tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, but it wouldn't go away. Liam sat at the kitchen table with his homework. He opened his math book, ready to focus on the problems, but after reading the same question 3 times without understanding it, he gave up. His mind kept thinking about his mom. Was she okay? What if she got dizzy again at work? What if she fainted and no one noticed? Liam looked at the clock. It was 4:30 p.m. His mom wouldn't be home until after 11. The thought of those long hours ahead made Liam's chest feel tight with worry. He got up and walked around the living room, trying to calm down. But everywhere he looked, he saw things that reminded him of his mom. Her favorite mug on the coffee table, her sweater on the back of a chair. Each item seemed to remind him that she wasn't there, and made him worry even more. As the evening went on, Liam's imagination ran wild. He pictured his mom collapsing in a hospital hallway, too tired to call for help. He imagined her falling asleep while driving home, her car going off the road. Each thought was scarier than the last, and Liam felt helpless to stop them. He tried watching TV but couldn't focus. He tried reading a book, but the words just blurred together. Even his video games couldn't keep his attention. The house felt too big, too empty, and the silence was overwhelming. As night came, Liam sat on the living room couch, his eyes glued to the front door. The TV was on, but he wasn't really watching it. His phone lay on the coffee table, silent. He kept hoping it would buzz with a message from his mom, but it stayed quiet. Just as Liam was thinking about calling the hospital to check on his mom, his phone lit up. His heart jumped as he grabbed it, fumbling to read the message. It said, "Working late tonight, honey. Don't wait up. Love you." Liam felt a mix of relief and disappointment. At least she was okay, but knowing she had to work even longer hours made his stomach twist with worry. He quickly typed back, "Okay, Mom. Love you too. Please be careful." Liam tried to follow his mom's advice and go to bed, but he couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, his sheets tangling around his legs as his mind raced with worries. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his mom's tired face from that morning, how she had stumbled in the kitchen. The digital clock on his nightstand seemed to mock him, its red numbers slowly ticking away the hours. As the night went on, Liam's worry turned into fear. What if something had happened after she sent that text? What if she collapsed at work and no one noticed? By 3 a.m., Liam had made up his mind. If his mom wasn't home by morning, he would go to the police station. They would know what to do, how to find her. It wasn't much of a plan, but it was something. And having even a small plan helped calm his nerves a little. Still, sleep wouldn't come. Liam lay in bed, his eyes wide open, listening for the sound of his mom's car in the driveway, the jingle of her keys in the lock. But the house stayed quiet, and the night seemed to last forever. Finally, as the first rays of sunlight came through Liam's window, he heard the faint creak of the front door. His eyes snapped open, and his heart leaped with relief. Emma was finally home. Liam lay in bed for a moment, expecting to hear his mom's footsteps on the stairs, but the house was strangely quiet. Frowning, he pushed back his covers and got out of bed. "Mom?" he called as he walked into the hallway. There was no answer. A chill ran down Liam's spine as he made his way to the kitchen. The silence felt heavy, like something was wrong. "Mom?" he called again, his voice trembling. "Are you okay?" As Liam entered the kitchen, his world stopped. There, lying on the cold floor, was his mom, Emma. She wasn't moving. For a moment, Liam froze, unable to understand what he was seeing. Then suddenly, he sprang into action. Without even putting on shoes, he ran out of the house. The cool morning air stung his skin as Liam sprinted down the quiet streets, his bare feet hitting the pavement hard. But he didn't care. All he could think about was getting help for his mom. Liam's lungs burned as he ran, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might burst out of his chest. Tears filled his eyes, but he quickly blinked them away. He couldn't slow down, not even for a second. As he raced toward the police station, his mind spun with fear. What if he was too late? What if his mom was... No, he couldn't think like that. He had to stay focused and keep running. Liam burst through the doors of the police station, gasping for air, his bare feet leaving wet prints on the floor. The sudden noise startled the officers inside, and they quickly rushed to him. "What's wrong, son?" one of the officers asked, kneeling down to Liam's level. Breathing heavily, Liam blurted out, "Please, you have to help my mom." The officers looked at each other, confused by his words. "Slow down, buddy," another officer said gently. "Take a deep breath and tell us what's going on." Liam took a deep breath, his eyes wide with fear. "My mom is on the floor, not moving. Please, you have to come." The officers' faces grew serious as they understood how important this was. The first officer placed a hand on Liam's shoulder. "We're not going to arrest your mom, but we will help her. Can you show us where she is?" Liam nodded quickly, feeling a bit of relief as he saw the officers get ready to help. One grabbed a first aid kit, while another called for an ambulance. "Lead the way, son," the first officer said, his voice calm but serious. Without waiting, Liam ran out of the station, the officers close behind him. As they ran through the quiet morning streets, Liam's heart raced with both fear and hope. He prayed they weren't too late. The small group turned onto Liam's street, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Liam pointed to his house, his voice breaking as he cried out, "There! She's in there!" The officers sped up, ready to help as they reached the open front door. Liam's bare feet slapped against the pavement, his eyes locked on the entrance to his home, hoping his mom would be okay. The police car drove quickly through the quiet streets, its lights flashing, but the siren off. Liam sat in the back seat, his small hands tightly clasped together, his eyes focused on the road ahead. The two officers in the front exchanged worried looks as they drove. "What do you think we're going to find, Ryan?" one officer asked quietly. Officer Ryan shook his head, gripping the steering wheel. "I don't know, David. It could be anything from a medical problem to... Well, let's not jump to conclusions." The other officer nodded, his brow furrowed with worry. "The poor kid seems so scared. I hope his mom's okay." In the back seat, Liam could hear their quiet conversation. His heart raced as he closed his eyes tightly, whispering a silent prayer. "Please, God, let Mom be okay. Please let us get there in time." The car turned onto Liam's street, and he leaned forward, pointing urgently. "There, that's our house." Officer Ryan quickly stopped the car in front of the small home. Before the car stopped, Liam was already trying to open the door, ready to run out. "Hold on, son," Officer John said, turning to him. "We need to go in first, okay? Stay behind us." Liam nodded, his face showing both fear and impatience. As soon as the car doors opened, he jumped out, bouncing on his toes as he waited for the officers to lead the way. The three of them walked to the front door, which was slightly open. Officer Ryan gently pushed it open, calling out, "Police, is anyone here?" As they got closer to Liam's house, the officers saw the door slightly open. Their hearts beat faster as they carefully drew their weapons, signaling to each other to be ready for anything. Liam rushed ahead, urging them to follow. The officers slowly opened the door, the creak of the hinges echoing through the quiet house. "Mom," Liam called out, his voice shaky with fear and hope. He tried to run past the officers, but Officer John gently held him back. "Stay behind us, Liam," Officer Ryan whispered, his eyes scanning the dimly lit entryway. "We need to make sure it's safe first." The officers moved forward, their steps careful and slow. The living room was empty, with the morning light casting long shadows on the worn furniture. Liam's eyes darted around, searching for any sign of his mother. As they approached the kitchen, Officer Ryan held up his hand, signaling them to stop. He had spotted something on the floor just beyond the doorway. There, on the cold tile floor, lay Emma. Her body was limp, sprawled out in an unnatural position. The color had drained from her face, leaving her skin pale and gray. The officers felt a jolt of fear as they saw her. Liam's eyes widened in horror. "Mom!" he cried out, pushing past the officers to rush to Emma's side. He fell to his knees beside her, his hands shaking as he reached out to touch her arm. "Mom, can you hear me? Please wake up." But Emma didn't respond. Her eyes stayed closed, her chest rising and falling with shallow breaths. Liam's voice grew more frantic with each passing second. "Mom, please, it's me, Liam. You've got to wake up." Officer Ryan quickly knelt down on Emma's other side, checking her pulse. "It's weak, but it's there," he said, his voice tight with concern. "We need to get her to a hospital fast." Liam couldn't stop looking at his mother's face. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he held her hand, hoping she would open her eyes. "Mom, please," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I need you. You can't leave me." The officers exchanged worried looks over Liam's head. They knew time was critical, but they also understood the boy's desperate need to be close to his mother. Liam stayed nearby, his hands trembling as he watched the officers help his mother. Tears filled his eyes, ready to spill over at any moment. The officers quickly assessed the situation, their trained eyes scanning the scene. Officer John knelt beside Emma, checking her vital signs, while Officer Ryan stood nearby, his hand on his radio. "This isn't a crime scene," Officer John said, his voice full of concern. "It's a medical emergency. She's completely exhausted." The realization hit them hard. Liam's desperate plea at the station wasn't about a crime. It was a cry for help to save his mother. Emma's body had finally given out, shutting down from working too hard and neglecting her own health. Officer Ryan's eyes widened with understanding. "My God," he muttered. "She's worked herself to the bone." Without hesitation, Officer Ryan grabbed his radio. "Dispatch, this is Officer Ryan. We need an ambulance at 1542 Maple Street right away. We have an unconscious woman, possibly collapsed due to extreme exhaustion." As Officer Ryan relayed the details to dispatch, Officer John turned to Liam, who was still holding his mother's hand, tears streaming down his face. "Liam," Officer John said gently, placing a comforting hand on the boy's shoulder. "You did the right thing by coming to us. Help is on the way." Liam looked up at the officer, his eyes full of fear and hope. "Is she going to be okay?" he asked. Officer John squeezed Liam's shoulder and said, "We're doing everything we can. The paramedics will be here soon." The minutes felt very long as they waited. Liam couldn't stop looking at his mom's pale face. He held her hand and said, "Mom, please wake up," his voice shaking. Officer David put a comforting hand on Liam's shoulder and said, "You're very brave. Getting help quickly might have saved your mom's life." Liam nodded, feeling both relieved and scared. Relief that help was coming, but scared about what might happen next. The ambulance arrived with its loud siren and flashing lights. 2 paramedics rushed into the house, moving quickly. They went into the kitchen where Emma was lying still. Liam watched, shocked, as the paramedics worked. They spoke in calm, urgent voices, using words Liam didn't understand. One paramedic put an oxygen mask on Emma, while the other checked her heart rate. "Her blood pressure is too low," one said. "We need to stabilize her before we move her." Officer Ryan gently guided Liam back to give the paramedics space. "They're doing everything they can for your mom," he said softly. Liam nodded, his eyes never leaving his mom's face. The paramedics worked fast, attaching monitors and putting in an IV. After a few minutes, which felt like forever, one of the paramedics said, "We're ready to move her." They carefully lifted Emma onto a stretcher and took her outside. Officer John told Liam, "You can ride in the ambulance with your mom. I'll follow in my car. Liam got into the ambulance feeling shaky and sat next to his mom. A paramedic gave him a reassuring smile. "We'll take good care of her," she said, adjusting the monitors. The ambulance sped through the streets with its siren blaring. Liam held his mom's hand tightly. The ride was a blur of lights and turns. He watched the paramedic closely, hoping for good news. When they arrived at the hospital, the doors opened with a whoosh and the paramedics rushed Emma inside. Liam followed, his feet cold on the hard floor. The bright lights in the emergency room made him squint. A paramedic called out, "12-year-old boy with his mother, mid-30s, severe exhaustion and possible malnutrition." Doctors and nurses quickly surrounded Emma, talking fast. A kind nurse gently told Liam, "You need to wait here. We'll take good care of your mom." Liam sat alone in the waiting area, feeling like he was in a bad dream. He felt very tired and worried. He watched the clock and the doors, hoping for news about his mom. Every time the doors opened, his heart jumped, but it was always for someone else. He hugged his knees to his chest, feeling guilty. "Why didn't I notice sooner?" he thought. After a long time, a nurse in blue scrubs walked over to him. She had a kind but serious face. "Are you Emma's son?" she asked gently. Liam's throat felt tight and he couldn't talk. The nurse sat next to him, speaking gently. "Your mom is very tired and hasn't eaten well," she said. "She's been working too hard and not taking care of herself." Liam's eyes filled with tears. He felt like he should have noticed sooner. Soon, 2 police officers came into the busy emergency room. They saw Liam sitting alone and looking worried. Officer Ryan and Officer David walked over to him. "Hi, Liam," Officer Ryan said kindly, crouching down to talk to him. "How are you doing?" Liam looked up with red, tired eyes. He shrugged, not knowing what to say. Officer David pulled up a chair beside him and Officer Ryan sat on the other side. They made Liam feel safe, away from the busy room. "We wanted to check on you and your mom," Officer David said softly. "Have the doctors told you anything?" Liam nodded. "They said she's really tired and hasn't been eating right," he said quietly. Officer Ryan put a comforting hand on Liam's shoulder. "Liam, you need to know something important," he said gently. "What happened to your mom isn't your fault." Liam's eyes widened in surprise. Officer David spoke kindly. "Your mom loves you very much. Sometimes, when people love someone, they push themselves too hard trying to take care of them. That's what your mom did." Liam's voice wobbled. "I should have noticed. I should have done something sooner." Officer Ryan shook his head. "You're just a kid, Liam. It's not your job to take care of your mom. You did the right thing by getting help when you saw something was wrong." The officers continued to comfort Liam and he listened carefully. He wanted to believe them and stop feeling guilty, but it was still hard. As the sun started to shine through the hospital windows, a nurse came to Liam with a warm smile. "Your mom is in a room now. You can go see her if you want," she said. Liam's heart beat fast as he followed the nurse down the hall. He had been waiting for this moment all night, but he felt a mix of relief and fear. When they reached the door, the nurse told Liam he could go in. He took a deep breath and walked inside. The room was quiet, except for the soft beeping of machines. Emma was in the hospital bed, her eyes closed and her face pale. She looked so small and weak, not like the strong mom Liam knew. Liam's breath caught in his throat. Seeing his mom like this was almost too much. He stood still for a moment, feeling overwhelmed. Slowly, he walked to the side of the bed and put his hand on top of hers. Her skin felt cool, and he gently squeezed her hand. "Mom," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "I'm here." Emma's eyes opened, and a weak smile appeared on her face when she saw Liam. "Hey, baby," she said softly. Tears filled Liam's eyes, but he tried to stay strong for his mom. "How are you feeling?" he asked. "I'm okay," Emma replied. Liam sat by his mom, Emma's hospital bed, holding her handily. "Mom, I promise I'll help you get better," he said with determination. "I'm going to make sure you don't have to work so hard anymore." We'll figure it out together, okay? Emma's eyes were filled with tears. Oh, Liam, she whispered, you're such a good boy, but you don't have to worry about me. It's not your job. Liam sat in the uncomfortable hospital chair, watching his mom's chest rise and fall as she slept. Emma had finally fallen asleep, her body getting the rest it needed. The beeping of the machines filled the room. Liam thought about the past few days. He remembered how tired Emma looked that morning when she made breakfast before her double shift. He remembered how she had stumbled in the kitchen, brushing off his worries with a weak smile. The memory of her lying on the floor made his heart ache with fear. For the first time, Liam truly understood how hard his mom had worked for him, all the long hours and skipped meals. Liam felt guilty for not seeing it sooner. He had been so focused on his own life, school and friends, that he hadn't noticed how tired Emma was. As he watched his mom sleep, he promised himself he would pay more attention to her needs. He would make sure she took breaks, ate properly, and got enough rest. He wouldn't let her push herself so hard anymore. Liam also thought about other families like theirs. How many other single parents worked so hard for their kids? How many kids didn't see their parents' sacrifices? Liam wanted to help. Maybe he could start a support group at school or volunteer at a community center. He wanted to raise awareness and help those who needed it. Emma stayed in the hospital for a few days, getting stronger. Liam visited her every day after school, bringing small gifts and stories from home. On his first visit, he gave her a hand-drawn card with hearts and a message that said, "Get well soon, Mom. I love you more than you know." Emma held the card close to her heart, feeling warm inside. The next day, Liam brought a small plant to brighten her room. Emma smiled, touched by his thoughtfulness. As the days went by, Liam shared stories about home and school. He told Emma how neighbors helped with meals and housework, and how his teachers sent their best wishes. Each story made Emma feel a bit stronger, knowing their community cared. The officers who helped that night also visited. Officer David brought a bouquet of cheerful daisies, and Officer Ryan brought magazines to read. Their visits were short but meaningful, reminding Emma and Liam that they weren't alone. "You've got a great kid here," Officer Ryan said, ruffling Liam's hair. "He's been so brave through all of this." Emma squeezed Liam's hand, her eyes shining with pride. "I know," she said softly. "I'm so lucky to have him." As Emma got better, her hospital room became busy with visitors. Nurses and doctors stopped by more often, not just to check her vitals, but to chat and encourage her. Their kindness touched Emma deeply. One afternoon, Officer David and Officer Ryan came again, bringing a colorful get-well balloon. "The whole precinct is rooting for you," Officer Ryan said with a warm smile. Emma felt very touched by how kind everyone was. News about Emma spread around the neighborhood, and soon many familiar faces came to her door. Mrs. Martinez from next door brought homemade chicken soup, which smelled really comforting. Mr. Liu from the corner store came with a beautiful orchid plant, explaining it meant strength and resilience in his culture. Even Emma's co-workers from the hospital came to visit, bringing stories from patients who missed her and sending their best wishes. Each visitor made Emma feel more loved and supported than she had ever thought possible. As Emma sat in her hospital bed surrounded by flowers, cards, and small gifts, she had a big realization. She looked at Liam, who hadn't left her side, and saw how worried and loving he looked. Emma realized how much her son and the people around her cared about her. She started thinking about how she lived her life. She always put others first, worked long hours, and didn't take care of herself. Now, seeing how her collapse affected Liam and feeling everyone's support, she knew she needed to take care of herself too. Emma began to think about the changes she needed to make. She thought about setting boundaries at work, asking for help when needed, and making time for rest and self-care. It felt strange and uncomfortable to think about putting herself first, but she knew it was important for both her and Liam. As the afternoon sun filled the hospital room with a warm glow, Emma and Liam were alone for the first time since her collapse. The room was quiet except for the gentle hum of medical machines. Emma patted the edge of her bed and invited Liam to sit closer. "Liam, honey," Emma began softly, "I think it's time we talked about what happened." Liam nodded, tears in his eyes. "Mom, I was so scared," he whispered. "I thought I was going to lose you." Emma took Liam's hand and squeezed it gently. "I'm so sorry, baby. I never meant to scare you," she said. She took a deep breath and continued. "I've been so busy making sure you had everything you needed, like food and clothes, that I forgot to take care of myself." Liam looked at his mother with love and concern. "But Mom, I need you more than anything. I want you to be healthy and happy." Emma felt a tear roll down her cheek. "Oh, Liam, you're so wise. You're right, and I see that now. I've been working so hard to provide for you that I didn't realize how much I was neglecting my own health." Liam spoke softly. "I tried to tell you. I noticed how tired you were, but you always said you were fine." Emma nodded with regret. "I know, sweetie. I thought I had to be strong all the time, but that wasn't fair to either of us." They sat quietly for a moment, both thinking about their conversation. Then Liam said with determination, "We need to find a better way. I want to help more around the house, and maybe you can work less." Emma smiled with pride for her thoughtful son. "That's a great idea, Liam. We'll figure it out together. I promise I'll start taking better care of myself, and we'll find a balance that works for both of us." Liam hugged his mother gently, careful of the IV lines. "I love you, Mom," he whispered. "I love you too, baby," Emma replied, holding her son close, "more than you'll ever know." When Emma and Liam came home, they both felt a wave of emotion. The house felt different, like it understood how precious life was. "Welcome home, Mom," Liam said softly, helping Emma inside. Emma took a deep breath, enjoying the familiar scent of home. "It's good to be back," she said, feeling very grateful. Liam helped her sit down on the couch and looked around to see if she needed anything. Emma watched him with pride and love. "Liam, honey, you don't have to worry about me," Emma said, but her words didn't sound very sure. "I want to, Mom," Liam said, putting pillows behind her back and covering her with a soft blanket. "You've always taken care of me. Now it's my turn to help you." As Liam made sure everything was perfect, Emma felt like crying. She realized she had not seen how strong and grown-up Liam was. When Liam was happy that Emma was comfortable, he sat next to her and said seriously, "We need to talk about how things will be different now." Emma nodded and took his hand. "You're right, sweetie. Things do need to change." Liam said, "I want to help more around the house, and maybe you could work less. I know we need money, but your health is more important." Emma felt tears in her eyes and said softly, "Oh, Liam, you're so thoughtful. Yes, I think that's a good idea. I promise I'll take better care of myself." They sat quietly for a moment, thinking about the changes ahead. Then Emma said with determination, "We'll figure this out together. I'll talk to my boss about working less, and we can plan how to share the housework." Liam smiled and said, "I can help with grocery shopping and cooking too. I want to learn how to make healthy meals for us." Emma smiled back, feeling warm inside. "That sounds wonderful, Liam. We'll help each other every step of the way." As they made plans and shared ideas, their house felt full of love and understanding. It was no longer just a place to live, but a home filled with appreciation for each other. As the days went by, more neighbors heard about Emma's situation. What started as a small talk grew into a big show of support. One sunny afternoon, Mrs. Baker from across the street came over with a covered dish. She looked worried as she said, "Emma, dear, I heard what happened and brought you a casserole." Emma was surprised. She and Mrs. Baker had only said hello before. "That's so kind of you," Emma said, touched. Mrs. Baker patted Emma's hand and said, We're here for you. Don't hesitate to ask if you need anything. Before Emma could fully understand this kindness, Mr. Ramirez, who owned the local grocery store, came up her driveway with a bag of fresh fruits and vegetables. "Miss Emma," he said with a warm smile, "I brought you some healthy goodies. It's on the house." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Mr. Ramirez, I don't know what to say," she said. He waved her thanks away and said, "It's what neighbors do. We look out for each other." Over the week, more neighbors stopped by. Some brought food, others offered to mow the lawn or help with chores. The Patel family next door even offered to tutor Liam in math, so Emma wouldn't worry about his studies. Each act of kindness made Emma very grateful. She had always thought she had to do everything herself, but now she saw how wonderful it was to get help from the community. One evening, as Emma and Liam sat on the porch swing watching the sunset, Emma said with tears in her eyes, "You know, Liam, I thought I had to do everything alone, but these days have shown me it's okay to lean on others sometimes." Liam squeezed his mom's hand and said, "We're not alone, Mom. We have the whole neighborhood behind us." Emma smiled, feeling lighter. She understood that asking for help was not a weakness, but a way to build community. As the sky turned pink, she promised herself to accept help and share kindness in return. Emma started making big changes in her daily life. She realized that taking care of herself was important for both her and Liam. One sunny morning, Emma woke up early. Instead of rushing to make breakfast, she put on her sneakers and took a short walk around the block. The fresh air made her feel calm. When she got back, Liam was already up, making oatmeal and fruit for breakfast. "Good morning, Mom," Liam said with a smile. "How was your walk?" Emma's face lit up. "It was wonderful, sweetie. I feel so refreshed." As they ate, Emma noticed their morning was different. There was no rushing or stress. They talked and laughed together before she left for work. Emma packed a healthy lunch and promised Liam she would take breaks during her hospital shift. Her coworkers noticed she seemed more relaxed and focused. During her lunch break, instead of working, Emma went outside to eat her lunch in the hospital garden. She closed her eyes, enjoyed the sun, and took deep breaths. When Emma came home that evening, Liam had a surprise. He made a simple dinner and set up a cozy corner in the living room with cushions and blankets. "I thought we could have a relaxing evening together," Liam said proudly. Emma's heart felt full of love. "That sounds perfect, honey." As they enjoyed their meal together, Emma felt better. She had more energy, felt less stressed, and was happy to spend time with her son. "You know, Liam," Emma said softly, "I'm so grateful for your support. You've shown me how important it is to take care of myself." Liam smiled and held his mother's hand. "We're in this together, Mom. Your health and happiness are important to me, just like mine are to you." Over the next few weeks, Liam helped more around the house. He did extra chores and made simple meals. This helped Emma a lot and made Liam feel important and responsible. One day, while folding clothes with Emma, Liam had an idea. "Mom," he said excitedly, "I've been thinking, maybe other kids have parents who work really hard too. I could start a group at school for kids like me." Emma paused, holding a shirt. "That's a wonderful idea, Liam. I'm sure many kids would like that." Encouraged by his mother, Liam talked to his school counselor the next day. With her help, he started a small group for students whose parents were overworked. At the first meeting, Liam felt nervous as he saw 5 other kids come in looking curious and unsure. "Hi, everyone," Liam said with a shaky voice. "I'm Liam. I started this group because my mom works really hard, sometimes too hard. I thought maybe we could share our stories and find ways to help our families." As the kids started talking, Liam felt better. He wasn't alone. Anna's dad worked 2 jobs, and Carlos's parents had a small business. They shared ideas like making chore charts and cooking simple meals. Liam talked about reminding parents to take breaks and care for themselves. "My mom started taking morning walks," Liam said. It makes her happier and more energetic." The group nodded and wrote down notes. When the meeting ended, Liam felt proud. He had made a place where kids like him could get support and understanding. Walking home, Liam felt lighter. He knew he wasn't alone and was helping his mom and other families. Inspired by her recovery and the support she got, Emma wanted to help others too. She thought there were more people like her who were working too hard without realizing it. One night, as she and Liam finished dinner, Emma shared her idea. "I want to organize wellness workshops for our neighbors," she said with excitement. "I want to teach people about taking care of themselves and spotting burnout before it's too late." Liam was interested. "What kind of workshops, Mom?" he asked. Emma smiled and said, "I want to show people how to care for themselves and find time for breaks. It's not selfish, it's needed. Even a few minutes a day can help." Emma planned her first workshop with Liam's help. She contacted local places and got a small room at the library. Emma worked hard to make a helpful program. On the day of the workshop, Emma was nervous but excited. More people came than she thought. As she spoke and shared her story, people listened and connected. One mother, Maria, asked how to find time for self-care when there's so much to do. Emma said it's not easy, but important to take small breaks, even just 5 minutes a day. The workshop was a success. People felt hopeful and eager to learn more. Emma's workshop became popular, covering topics like managing stress, eating healthy, and getting enough sleep. The community started to see the value of helping each other. Inspired by Emma, neighbors created the Helping Hands program. Its goal was simple: to support each other so no one would struggle alone. Neighbors began checking on each other, helping with groceries, yard work, or just listening. Anna, a young mom who went to Emma's first workshop, became one of the program's biggest fans. She set up a plan to bring meals to families who were having a hard time. "It's amazing how a home-cooked meal can make someone feel better," she said with a big smile. The Helping Hands program also had regular classes. These classes taught different things like how to manage stress and stay healthy on a budget. Local experts came to share their knowledge. One class was about how important sleep is. Dr. Baker, a sleep expert, said getting enough rest is very important for our health. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. As the program grew, people in the community started to feel more connected. Neighbors who didn't know each other before started greeting each other by name. The neighborhood became warmer and more supportive. Emma felt proud seeing the community come together. She thought about her own experience and how different it might have been if such a program had been there then. Emma realized that the Helping Hands program was not just about avoiding burnout, but also about creating a community where everyone felt valued and supported. The program made the community healthier. People felt less stressed, more connected, and better able to handle challenges. Over time, Emma's life changed in ways she hadn't expected. The support from the community helped her balance her work and personal life better. She stopped pushing herself too hard and started taking breaks during her hospital shifts to rest and recharge. She also made sure to eat healthy meals and get enough sleep. These changes made her feel more energetic and happier. The biggest change was in Emma's relationship with her son, Liam. Their bond, already strong, became even stronger. Emma realized that being there for her son was just as important as providing for him. She began going to Liam's school events, cheering for him at soccer games, and smiling proudly at his science fair projects. These moments, which used to be rare, became regular parts of their lives that both Emma and Liam enjoyed. Their evenings at home had a new, better routine instead of Emma being too tired to enjoy them. Liam and his mom spent happy time there. They cooked meals side by side, laughing and trying new recipes. They played board games, trying to win in a fun way, and sometimes they just talked about their days and dreams. Liam felt a big change. He wasn't worried about his mom's health all the time anymore and didn't feel so responsible. He felt safe and loved because his mom was there for him, not just in person, but also with her heart. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Liam looked at his mom. Her face, once tired, was now happy. "Mom," he said softly, "I'm really glad you're okay, and I'm happy we get to spend more time together." Emma hugged him and said, "Me too, sweetheart. I'm sorry it took something scary for me to see what's really important. I promise I'll always be here for you." The next Saturday morning, everyone in the community came to the hospital's auditorium. The room was full of people who were excited and warm. Emma and Liam stood at the front, smiling with thankfulness and new strength. Emma took the microphone and spoke with feeling. "Thank you all for coming today. A few months ago, I thought I had to do everything alone. I pushed myself too hard, thinking that's what being a good mom and nurse meant, but I was wrong." She looked at Liam with tears in her eyes. "My son's brave love saved my life, and all of you helped us heal and grow stronger." Emma talked about how important it is to take care of ourselves and not to try to handle everything alone. She said, "We don't have to face our problems alone. We have each other. Let's promise to help one another and ask for help when we need it." The crowd nodded and many people cried. When Emma finished, everyone clapped loudly. Liam stood up and hugged his mom tightly. The hospital boss then praised Liam for being brave and quick thinking. She gave Liam a certificate for being a hero. Liam, who was usually shy, felt proud as he accepted the certificate. He saw the crowd as a community that had come together to support him and his mom. For the first time in a long while, he felt safe and understood. After the ceremony, people came around to hug Emma and Liam, giving words of encouragement and promising support. The feeling was of a renewed commitment to building a caring community. Would you have felt the same way as Liam if you were in his place? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to my channel. I work hard writing these stories for you, and your support helps me keep going.